together the ITS, namely the technical colleges, as well as technical vocational training systems. And let me tell you that the technical colleges at university level and the technical vocational schools are funded by the National Plan for Recovery and Resilience, as well as the university pathways. We should not forget that our area and the time requires lifelong learning, because the change we're going through is absolutely rapid. Pope Francis recently said something important. Remember that our era is not an era of technological change, but of paradigm change, anthropologically speaking. People change, behaviors change, the social representation changes. So starting from this, according to a bottom-up and top-down approach, providing lifelong learning that also becomes the hub and the point of attraction of this region, a region that has always been at the forefront of testing and experimentation of data, is the new target to be set and achieved. But I know that attendee speakers in this panel are the most authoritative people. We need to reconcile technical expertise with managerial skills. We absolutely need it to serve as a drive for the university system as such, not just locally, but nationally. And we want it to become a point of attraction for new enterprises. That's what the Emilia-Romagna region is doing. I would like to welcome everyone and each of you, not just Vincenzo Colla, the Councillor for Economic Development, that shows that only investing on knowledge can we become competitive. And that's what the Emilia-Romagna is doing. Thank you. Thanks to all. I would like to thank Patrizio Bianchi for his message. Patrizio Bianchi is the Minister for Education at the national level. And now I would like to give the floor to Massimo Bergami, the Professor of Organizational Behavior, as well as Dean of the Bologna Business School. And please, to you the floor. Thanks for the invitation. This is a time characterized by major challenges. As Professor Bianchi just said, these challenges are of a diverse nature, not just from many points of view. Well, in our region, we are characterized by a distinctive trait, namely our tendency to work in a system, and that is quite spontaneous and something inbuilt, inborn in our DNA. When I travel around, I can see universities, university networks, consortia, and the rest of the school system tend to work together. And that's what we do. The name of our consortium is the Bologna Business School, that works throughout the region with other universities, with master courses in cooperation with the other university institutes. And this degree of integration concerning managers' training should be further enhanced. Only together can we accomplish and achieve results. Emilia-Romagna is a very competitive region, not just in this sector, but even more so in other sectors as well. And the more we work together, the more successful we are. The level of participation, readiness, openness, apart from and beyond the financial matters, because our institution is not a public one and it is self-funded. And if we see the level of commitment of managers that accept to teach students in the framework of projects, with many students coming from throughout Italy and abroad, that is absolutely incredible. Is there a competition at a national level? when it comes to Motor Valley, when it comes to vocational training and training of new talents? Is there a competition between Italian regions, for example, in Piedmont, where the automotive sector is equally strong? Well, I don't think so. Well, if we talk about competition, I think it goes beyond the regional borders. We often meet with the other business school deans to address these issues. And we can realize that executive education, managers training in Italy is absolutely stronger. And the stronger it is, and the better it is for our economy. We, of course, compete with other business schools, but it is true that we also cooperate and all pursue the similar goals and objectives. We have a global MBA, which is a master, postgraduate master after a 4-5-year-long working experience. And one of them is called Supercars, Superbikes, and Motorsports. And that's quite interesting because students come and attend this master course after a working experience with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. They spend a year to study management in that sector. They learn Italian as well. They understand what it means to live and stay in Italy. And once they enter a company, they are true internationalization channels for those companies that hire them. Somebody from abroad says, our students stay there. They don't leave Italy, and that's good. We are lucky enough because our talents from abroad are attracted to Italy. So training and retention is important. It is not just a question of brain drain, but we luckily are also brain attractors. I would like to give the floor to the councillor, Vincenzo Colla, or actually he should have talked, but he couldn't be with us, and anyway he sends his best greetings and wishes. Well, Vice President San Giorgi, you have set up this University of Motors, automotive industry, working with companies. In the past, such a liaison between the academia and the business community was not really well considered, but now the perception has changed. Muner is often mentioned as an example, as a best practice, not just nationally, but internationally. It is a virtuous example of excellent cooperation between universities, between the university and the business community, and between and among the various enterprises. 11 companies are involved, as well as various universities that are part of this consortium, and that has allowed us to design training education pathways to suit the market needs. And we therefore can attract talents that can be therefore become sexy for the companies that will be willing to hire them. And so students are also involved in job placements within companies. They are not just studying, but also working at the same time through job placement practices. Another issue that was addressed was the very quick pace at which the sector has been evolving. We started in 2017 when the electric revolution was at its inception, but now it is no longer a revolution, it is a reality. And please believe me that getting there with the whole community involved to this kind of awareness in only 4 times wouldn't have been possible if everyone worked on one zone, I mean, in a separate distinctive departments in one zone company like Lamborghini, Ferrari, or the University of Ferrara, Bologna, Modena, everyone on its own. No, we have set up 4 university degree courses related to traditional mechanics, another one on electrical drivetrain, another one to connectivity, sensors, and autonomous driving. What is the favorite course? Well, I am an electronic engineer, so this is my first love. When I took my university degree many years ago now, my advisor of my thesis, he said, you are lucky because today in a car, 2% of its value is electronics. 2%. Now we are at 60%. It means that the car system has become technology system, and so we need to attract talents because the whole value chain requires talents, and it has to evolve following the market pace. And of course, if we take the supercar manufacturers that are part of this consortium Unimore, even between them, is there competition or cooperation? Everyone works at the same time in harmony, or do they keep their secrets? Are they jealous of their expertise? I mean, as for talents, most of our time has been devoted to give clear ideas about the types of students that are best fit for certain companies. Otherwise, one takes the best and the less good ones are left to the others. Of course, there is competition because the true skilled workforce is less than what is required. And then it is true that there is a neighbor, that is a competitor, but this is part of the game, the ecosystem. Is your best practice replicated abroad? Well, our model, in a less structural way, is a social and economic model that can be found in Germany, in the German Motor Valley, in Nuremberg, where universities and companies have been working together, even without the presence of Muner, and also in the Oxfordshire. There are, well, you see, you have three macro regions, three examples where universities have understood that they are part of the system. And now the floor to Professor Porro. Foreign university. What about if it said, we want to join forces with you? Nice question. Nobody in Muner has ever thought about it yet. I mean, a high-profile university institute from abroad. I mean, well, as you know, we are part of Next Generation EU, not Italy, so why not? But there is a but. Even based on the contributions that have been delivered so far, including the minister's speech, we're talking of an integrated local system that is highly competitive, also at international level, encompassing the big names, the big brands of high-profile car manufacturers. So it should be a really interesting offer for it to be taken into account.
We heard this morning that we are progressing at the speed of light, progress innovation, which is something that also Sergio Marchionne was stressing so much. But how can you keep up with such continuous improvements, such levels of innovation that, you know, is necessary, and at the same time you have to transfer all these new things to the teachers, to the teaching profession? Well, of course, we have to continue to improve the quality of our integrated system. How can this objective be attained? A first target and a first step is the quality of recruitment. And I'm referring to both the students. They should receive a guidance, which is a key word, so as to be able to guide students to the best possible pathway for them. and also have an offer that is of a very high level. So guidance and attractiveness for high-level students, and also attractiveness for high-level researchers, which is fundamental, absolutely fundamental, because it takes us back to the major issue of how a competitive integrated system that is well known at the worldwide level and boasts of old age brands, how can this, of course, be retained at the worldwide level and be conspicuous? Well, first of all, we have to look at the short-term objectives, meaning all those aspects that make it possible for companies to advance realistically and sustainably with high-level products. But also we have to look in the medium to long term in an effort to understand what areas will make the automotive system still attractive, sustainable, worldwide famous for at least this type of environment. So we have to strike a balance between the interaction with these big companies in terms of capturing their needs in the short term, while entertaining a fruitful dialogue on strategic opportunities that may be retained in the long term. This should be the objective: leave a very rich reality to the future generation. Okay, I will ask a provocative question in a while, but Mr. Mann, Christian, I will ask you a question in Italian, of course, but you can follow me through translation. So you are the director of a very important service company, a worldwide leader for automobile industry, very much committed to the electric. On the electric side, you're very much specialized on batteries. So Italians look at the German model with a certain level of envy. We try to get organized as much as you do because you're perfect. Now, in the light of what you're saying, are you jealous of the Italian model in a way?
Definitely jealous of what you have here, yeah? So let me express my great gratitude to be at this wonderful location here in Motor Valley and in this great event, yeah? So I'm definitely envious of that, and also the great talents which you have here. For us as FEV, and you say, innovation is really the heart of our business. To drive innovation in all areas of automotive engineering, we need talents. Talents are in the heart of our business. To keep talents, to grow talents, to educate talents. And this has been the heart of our business for many, many decades. FEV started as a spin-off of a university, Aachen University, from mechanical engineering, and has evolved to a multinational company with 7,000 employees. And all of them are great and important talents. And in order to achieve that, and to achieve that in the current times of disruption, really huge change, we need to attract new talents and keep the talents that we have. So models like you have developed here with Muno, for example, are leading to achieve that in those disruptive times. Yeah? And we in Aachen do the same. Yeah? We have a school for PhD students where students from electrochemistry work with mechanical engineers developing electric motors, but also range extenders from fuel cells. And they, we've discussed it before, speak totally different languages, yeah? But we need to bring them together to develop the best system. And that is a big challenge for the companies, for the environment which you offer. And I think you have one great advantage here. It's the education which you can provide with those models, but also Motor Valley, which, as was mentioned this morning, is not only a motor valley, but also a food valley, and just a very, very beautiful location, which simply is attractive for you. So while Aachen, our headquarter in Germany, is attractive and a good location, we cannot compete with you here. So we also have FEV Italia here to keep the Italian talents.
Bene, sento un attimo, stamattina è stato sottolineato dal
This morning, the Amazon manager and McKinsey manager stressed during their presentation that on the one side we have the United States, on the other side we have China, and then we will have at the Motor Valley strong investment made by the FAV and SIL group, China-American group, for more than $1 billion for the making of electric supercars. How is Europe reacting in terms of competitiveness in this fight between the East and the West?
We have to lead with innovation, with our core competence on the mechanical components, on electric components, on software, yeah? And really manage to achieve the best combination of all these disciplines with being smart, with being ingenious, with being innovative, and delivering products which live up to the great heritage that we have here in Europe, which is something the Chinese, for example, don't have. Yeah? We have those extremely strong brands and this history and this past, and now we need to transform that into the future, and I think we have the best boundary conditions for that. Yeah? So we should be proud of ourselves, but nevertheless continuously work on what we have, be innovative, be passionate, and generate the best talents and grow them, and give them an environment where they can.
il suo gruppo FEV.
Your group, FEV Europe, how does it come into it?
So, yeah, it was mentioned. You need to create an environment which is attractive, which means you can have open communication, open discussions. At every level, every employee needs to be able to take decisions, to be in charge of what they do, to feel responsible, to develop the passion for the products they deliver, for the software they do, for the interaction. So that is cultural values which need to be right. But of course you also need to have the right infrastructure, making sure that you have the laboratories, the environment in terms of technology, tools, simulation, software, so they can strive and develop. I think that is most important, adding some hygiene factors like right pay, for example, yeah, proper holidays, night environment, etc., to keep and to develop talents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manfred, and then we'll come back to you for the next round. Laura, Rome, Astel, General Director, thank you for being with us today. Yes, and thank you to you. Astel reunites the entire telecommunication chain, 5G connectivity, IoT, artificial intelligence. So there's so much you've been doing in the last 2 years in your business area. How are you tackling the generation change in your chain? What about new talents, new professional talents? How do you chase them? You know, we're trying to also consider and rely on the experience we made during the pandemic, investing in new talents. And people who have talked before me have already said it. We intend to collaborate and create ecosystems. 5G, new technologies lead us to collaborate, cooperate, in spite of the fact that we might be in competition with one another. So compete and collaborate, which means pushing permanent, continuous learning at the forefront. And of course, it is important to have a cooperation between public and private, the public and private sphere. So we want our young people to also be oriented towards new métiers, new jobs, in an effort to continue to apprehend and learn. You know, investing into innovative human capital. For example, Emilia-Romagna, this region, is exceptional. Our enterprises are collaborating also in the development of new ecosystems in the automotive environment. And this is extraordinarily important so as to provide answers in each single area to the requests we have, to the needs we have. Very often there is a distance between the needs of enterprises, their needs for certain professional profiles and talents that are characterized by certain levels of competences and professionalism that you look out on the market. And then, the university levers, so to say. We have to accelerate once again the region Emilia-Romagna with Vincenzo Pola have recently undersigned a protocol with Minister Orlando on the issue of the new competences. It is hard to invest into those when you first enter the job environment, but also in terms of skilling and reskilling. In our sector, we invest from 7 to 10 days per year in terms of retraining the people. But this should be a collective effort. We should continue to work strenuously, and the Next Generation Plan is not simply economic resources, but it is also the putting in place reforms with an industrial vision. All the instruments in this toolkit that we have to utilize, they're all very important, from collective bargaining that can anticipate digital transformation to industrial relations, and we've seen how important this has been during the emergency. They have provided continuity to the labor market. We have identified 26 different labor profiles, not so much characterized by a certain job title, but rather by a competence, which ensures employability of people only through a factual cooperation between businesses and universities, digital education, the guidance provided to our adolescents can all help us overcoming the gaps we still have and the diversities in terms of generational differences, gender differences. And we should cause a virtuous shock. But allow me one question. Up until 10 years ago, nobody would think that communication would deal with topics strictly related with mobility, transportation, safety, security. Do you think you would have expected such a thing? I mean, to get to such a point and tackle the issues at this level? You have become, and you will be more and more, the players in a world that almost very rarely involved you in the past. Isn't it true? I was working for TIM a few years ago, and somebody was telling me that the voice traffic would become a commodity. It would be overcome by new services that were at the horizon. It was the birth of a different strategy that, of course, is not solely based on the development of infrastructures or on telecommunication networks or on the release of services. During the emergency, and we have all experienced this, during emergencies as this one and during the lockdown, the telecommunication networks have become strategic with a view to provide a unique opportunity to retain or keep company open and enable people to work. We have to also consider that diversities will have to be done away with. We have to simplify everything and avoid bureaucracy. I'm thinking of the problem of permit release, and the simplification decree law is going in this direction. We have to consider this as a strategy towards the 2025 targets, never forgetting that this country has no culture for the digital approach. In all European surveys, we were last in terms of internet access and digital knowledge. A country that would like to have leadership and would like to have a certain level or ensure a certain level of economic growth has got to overcome the cultural gap. Clear. Italy can, in fact, make it to recover the gap in the digital sphere. Can you still hear us? Well, I think we're in this moment. On the wake of the pandemic, we can recover. We have been mapping Italy through census, and we have been able to access the digital tools. We have improved by 8 points. Now, we can't stop here because the collaboration with the different regions is extraordinarily important, and the creation of ecosystems, making universities, schools available for people. And we know that distant learning has become the keyword. We are bringing education to the home place of our students, and we have to have businesses that create networks at the regional level. So this is an extraordinary opportunity for acceleration and collaboration, and for having a perspective that can apply to the entire enterprise system. Let me go back to Mr. Mene, and let me ask you one question. Considering talents, of course, talents are generated from universities. They may become managers in a company and make a career. But can a person is converted from an expert of combustion engines into an expert of batteries? Can this happen, or is this a mission impossible?
Happen, and it can. Yeah, it's very important, because of course you have talents who very well understand how an automotive engineering program works, what you need to deliver, that you have a certain plan, milestones, everything that is really important for delivering a product into serious production and what relates to it. But of course they need knowledge, background then in electrical engineering. But we've heard it earlier, lifelong learning is what you need, yeah? And you of course need to ensure programs which transfer this knowledge of electrical engineering, for example, to the traditional combustion engine guy. And we are living this model in our company because, of course, let's say some years ago, there was a much bigger focus on combustion engines than there's now. And those very good engineers, we of course want to keep in the company and want to use in the new programs, in the new world of electrification. And I would say a very good engineer can do combustion engines, electrical motors, but even software. So it's not completely different worlds. But you, of course, need the right programs and the right education schemes, and therefore the collaboration with universities is very important.
Chiudo con questa domanda.
And I would like to conclude. What do you think of the Motor Valley Fest? Do you like it? Would you propose it in Germany as well?
Definitely.
Sarà un salone a Monaco adesso, dopo che fa in Francoforte.
Can you organize a similar thing in Monaco? I think there will be Munich. There will be a similar thing in Munich, right?
Initiatives around Germany, happening similar to this, but I think this is really unique. Walking through town, seeing the different sides, the cars, I really like it. Great event.
E poi l'impagabile scenario di...
Yes, and then the beautiful scenario of the city of Modena in the Motor Valley. Now, a talent that is ready to express its talent within an enterprise, can he or she be far away from ideologies?
Amen.
This is a big issue, and I think that this is a very important topic to deal with. If you think of the universities that first join MUNER are not polytechnics but multidisciplinary universities, and that requires us to think about it. Interdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity are a key to success towards a digital transformation and a sustainable economy transition, because if we just trust the experts as such, the repercussions on a society become much more difficult, and it is much more difficult to have the impact on all the other aspects, cultural aspects, political aspects, etc. So an engineer, an expert, a specialist by himself on his own cannot do all that. So that's how I answer to you. Just through this multidisciplinary approach, including professors coming from so many subjects, that we can hope to be successful. Another question for you, Professor Porro. Yes. It is true that you give opportunity to big talents to grow. Or maybe are you happy or not? I'm happy if talents go to China, US, Japan, and then they come back to Italy. Okay, no problem with that. Same question. Talents ideology issue that is very topical topic, and the point of fighting against the brain drain and retaining talents. As Professor Porro was saying, MUNER experience has given us the opportunity to explore this relationship that is complicated between interdisciplinarity and specialization that is fundamental. There is a need for multidisciplinary approach, and this requires us to know what the technological pillars are. There is one master course by MUNER. There is also a course on law, because for autonomous driving, you see there are many legal implications, insurance implications. We have a law school that is rooted in the Italian tradition, by the way. Professor Calabresi is the dean of Yale, who tried and invented civil liability, and therefore car accident has become part of public law rather than private law, civil law. If everything was taken care of by electronic or mechanical engineers, the university would have never been able to introduce these new approaches. So multidisciplinary approach is required, because the automotive sector requires this multidisciplinary approach so that it pulls together various types of experts and specialists. It's a must. We had to do it. And as for the second question, what about your talents? After a university degree, for example, I went to Stanford for 3 years, and that experience really shaped my professional and private career, because I met my wife. And so I really hope that every young person makes such an experience. And after this American experience, I decided to come back, because that has made me richer, and that could make everybody richer as well as the rest of the territory. So come here, do a full inversion, and then go back. That's what you mean? That's what you desire? No, there are many Italian students, the ones coming from companies that are already employed and that attend part-time courses, whereas there are the full-timers. The full-time course students, the percentage of those working abroad is double than the percentage of foreigners coming and studying to Italy. Of course, the point is to keep them linked, rooted to the reference community. And after making this experience around the world, I think it is nice to let them come back. And the same question for you, talents and political ideology. Well, this is a difficult question. It can be said that our small school was set up with the 4 departments: one management, electronic engineering, communication, marketing. And so when we started with this very idea of mixing the various points of view together. And this is still true for us, and so that we can look at the problem, at an issue from different angles, and that gives you a better perspective. And now we close with Laura Di Raimondo from Astel. Di Raimondo, to you the floor. Okay. What about such a debate happens in 10 years' time? What do you think that the topics will be? What about the new talents? Where are they? What is the teaching they would deliver us? It goes, I really hope that we can talk about new skills to serve the new world. It will become fundamental to have a work organization that will be completely different. So young people who might have made this new experience when studying and when working, having a very rich toolkit with a lot of knowledge and know-how. And I really hope that these young people will have been able to address this changing world with success. And as you said, the previous question now, it would be ideal for talents to live and work in different organizations away from Italy and come back to Italy, and bringing along not just the knowledge and know-how that they have learned while staying and working abroad, but also in terms of work organization, because we need to have virtuous shocks. Otherwise, we meet again in 10 years and talk about a labor market that doesn't evolve, that is static, that doesn't give any true, real opportunities, any career opportunities. Because young people are now paying the brunt, and the young and people and women are the ones that are more penalized. And I really wish that in 10 years' time the scenario will change, also with reference to labor market. So that's what I really hope for. Thank you, Laura. General Director of Astel, thanks to each and everyone to keep the debate alive, also with the new questions out of the box. I really love that. And thanks for listening here in the Faculty of Law in Modena. Thanks to the ones who are attending the conference from a remote location. And thanks to Professor Bianchi, Professor Massimo Vergami, Laura Di Raimondo, Christoph Menne, who is close to me, coming from Germany, Executive Vice President and CEO of FEV Europe, Carlo Porro, Rector of University of Modena Reggio, Enrico San Giorgi, Vice President of Muner. Thank you, and enjoy this Motor Valley Fest, and have a nice evening now. Thank you.